everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dollar Dialogue. Today's episode 30, Elon Musk, Tesla and the future of the space economy with Mr. Kabir Dhawan. Mr. Kabir Dhawan is a very talented individual. He currently goes to American Embassy School in New Delhi, India. He's a senior in that school. He's also a very hardworking individual and has published a lot of research papers. And he has also founded the Amnesty International Club and the Economics Club at his school. He's also a very talented coder. In fact, his app Studies Zen, Mindfulness and Games has been published in the App Store under Volts Technologies, which again highlights his incredible capabilities to help and support the youth of today. The Studies Zen app is a mindfulness and games app for the youth of today. And again, we're very glad to have Mr. Kabir Dhawan here with us today to discuss Elon Musk's role in the global economy and the role of Tesla and SpaceX. Thank you, Mr. Kabir Dhawan, for joining us today. Is there anything that you would like to add to the introduction?
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. I'm very excited for these fruitful discussions, and I do hope that we can educate the audience and the masses about Tesla and their contributions to society, and perhaps even the dangers of their discoveries and in the future too.
Thank you, Mr. Kabir Dhawan, for the wonderful introduction. And we're again very glad to have him, have a talented individual like him here with us today. So, a little bit of introduction about Tesla. Tesla Motors was founded in July 2003 by engineers Martin Eberhard and Mark Terpening in San Carlos, California. And the company's mission was to develop electronic vehicles, EVs, that were both practical and environmentally sustainable, challenging the dominance of internal combustion engines. The name Tesla honors Nikola Tesla, the inventor whose work on AC electronic motors inspired the company's technological foundations. Martin Eberhard served as the first CEO, while Mark Terpening handled finance and operational management. The founders envisioned creating high-performance EVs that could attract attention and fund mass markets models later. In February 2004, Elon Musk led Tesla's Series A investment round, contributing $6.5 million of the $7.5 million raised, and became the largest shareholders. Musk joined Tesla as chairman of the board, leveraging his reputation from success at Zip2 and PayPal. His initial involvement focused on funding and guiding the strategic vision, emphasizing the need for high-performance EVs. Musk also strongly supported the concept of starting with a premium electric sports car to generate revenue and establish the Tesla brand, eventually transition to affordable mass electric market vehicles. And the first Tesla vehicle was the Tesla Roadster, which was produced between 2005 and 2008, and it was the first car of Tesla. It was unveiled in 2006, and it was based on the Lotus Elise chassis, but it used Tesla's proprietary electronic drivetrain. And the Roadster was the first production car to use lithium-ion batteries, offering a range over 200 miles on a single charge, unprecedented for EVs at the time. And due to development delays and rising costs, it created a lot of financial strain for Tesla, which required additional funding rounds. And there was also a lot of disagreements over financial and operation decisions that led to the departure of Eberhard as CEO in 2007. And Michael Marks briefly replaced him before Zif Drori took over. But by late 2008, Marks took over CEO and amid financial struggles and began restructuring the company. And Tesla also faced severe financial difficulties during the 2008 financial crisis. Musk described the company as being within weeks of bankruptcy, and Musk personally funded Tesla during this time, investing much of his personal wealth to keep operations afloat. And despite challenges, the Tesla Roadster went into production in 2008 and sold approximately 2,500 vehicles globally by 2012. And the Roadster validated Tesla's technology and created a foundation for future models. And between 2009 and 2015, Tesla produced the infamous Model S, which was a luxury electronic sedan designed in-house. It debuted in 2012, receiving widespread acclaim for its performance, range, and decision. And the Model S was the first EV to offer 300 miles of range on a single charge. And between 2009 to 2006, this version of the Model S was produced, which was further upgraded and replaced by the new 2016 Model S. And in 2010, Tesla achieved a great milestone. It went public on Nasdaq, receiving $226 million in its IPO. And Tesla also launched its supercharger network, enabling long distance EV travel with fast charging stations. And in 2015, Tesla unveiled the Model X, which was a luxury electric SUV featuring innovative Falcon wing doors. And moving forward in 2016, Tesla announced the Model 3, a more affordable EV aimed at the mass market with a starting price of around $35,000. And the Model 3 became Tesla's best-selling vehicle, with production ramping up in 2017 and achieving global success. And Tesla, however, faced production quote-unquote hell, which Musk described it as, during the Model 3 ramp-up, with Musk personally overseeing manufacturing operations. And by 2018, production stabilized and the Model 3 became one of the best-selling EVs globally. And Tesla is known for a lot of its technological and strategic innovations. Tesla focused on improving battery efficiency and reducing costs, partnering with Panasonic for lithium-ion battery production. And the company built gigafactories, gigafactories in Nevada, New York, and Shanghai to scale production and meet growing demands. And Tesla also pioneered autopilot and advanced driver assistance system, and later introduced full driving FSD software. The company also emphasized the importance of software updates, providing over-the-air improvements to vehicle performance and features. And Tesla's name is synonymous with Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is very well known in Tesla for his bold leadership style. His hands-on leadership style and bold vision have been a both driving force and a source of controversy in Tesla. And his ambitious timelines and focus on innovation have pushed Tesla to the forefront of the EV technology. And Musk also redefined Tesla's mission to focus on accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. And the Tesla diversified into solar energy, acquiring Solar City in 2016, and energy storage through Powerwall and Megapack. And Tesla also expanded its global presence with gigafactories in Berlin, Texas, and Shanghai. And the company also became the world's largest EV manufacturer by sales volume for some time. And also Tesla's market capitalization soared, surpassing $1 trillion in 2021, making it one of the most valuable companies in the world. And in the recent years, Tesla unveiled the Cybertruck in 2019, which is a futuristic electric pickup truck, and the Tesla Semi, which was unveiled in 2022, which is an electric freight truck. Tesla also recently unveiled the Model Y, a compact SUV, which also became one of its best sellers after its launch in 2020 due to its relatively cheaper price compared to its more expensive Model X option. Nevertheless, Tesla also faced a lot of criticism over working conditions at its factories and alleged union-busting practices. And Musk's claims about Tesla's autonomous driving capabilities sparked debate over the safety and readiness of its systems. And Musk's public behaviors, including his controversial tweets, has occasionally overshadowed Tesla's achievements. So, what's your opinion on Tesla and the role of Elon Musk in Tesla? And what role do you think Elon Musk's Tesla could play in the global economy in the near future years? Mr. Kabir, Dhawan, Arif Malik, or Shazib Karim?
Well, I think I can. Well, first of all, thank you for the overview. I think you really captured the essence of Tesla's story and how it's grown from the startup to the leader in sustainable technology. I think it's really interesting that we're talking about how Tesla's origins were actually focused on proving that electrical vehicles could be fast and efficient. I mean, like you said, when the Tesla Roadster came out in 2008, it wasn't just like a car. It was a statement. Like a car that's electric, that while being electric can go from 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds, really broke the stereotypes. And I think that's really what sets it apart from how it's never stayed within the confines of just being a car company. I think because of its dynamic ecosystem that they have with solar panels, energy storage, they have their gigafactories too. I think they really revolutionized the manufacturing efficiency. And I think Elon Musk has really always talked about how Tesla is more an energy and a data company than an automotive one. And I think it's really clear how like you said, how all these different areas feed into their mission of sustainability. And I think Tesla, in my opinion, is probably one of the companies that has changed the most of all time. I think not from what it just produces, but from the mindset that it also represents. It's it's a bad source to cite, but through Elon Musk tweets and how he talks about his company, it's one that challenges conventional wisdom and kind of is innovating relentlessly, setting itself apart and redefining sustainability to become a part of modern living. And I think, at its core, talking about their role in the global economy, like you asked, I think it has two main roles. First of all, I think it's a disruptor, and looking at it took the automotive industry on by complete storm and forced all the car competitors, companies like Audi, Toyota, and almost all of them to accelerate their EV programs. And by doing so, they also extended their influence into like energy storage and manufacturing, and even working on solar panels and such, thinking about how sustainable power generation goes into homes and businesses. But I also think that Tesla's probably their biggest role is to work as a catalyst, because what they're doing and the work that Elon Musk is doing with the company is showing that the world is that sustainability and profitability aren't mutually exclusive. And it's like really important to set that tone for the green economy of the earth in the future. And I'd love to hear what the rest of you guys think.
Yeah, Kabir, I think,
Yeah,
yeah,
go on.
Shazid.
Yeah, you can
Oh,
go on.
okay. Yeah, so Kabir, I think you really shed an important light on Tesla, because when the Tesla Roadster came in 2008, everyone was thinking, what is this beetle-like car which is red in color and it is super fast and it's completely electric? Because in 2008, the world isn't what it is today, and a lot of the people thought that Tesla wouldn't survive. But despite the hurdles, Tesla has actually overcome these difficulties and actually prevailed because in the long run. And I would say Tesla has also revolutionized the global economy as a result of it, because it has transformed the global, not only the global automotive, but also the energy sector, and it has been driving a shift toward sustainability and innovation. For example, statistically speaking, since its founding in 2003, Tesla has sold over 4 million electric vehicles globally, with 1.37 million units sold in 2022 alone, which marks a 40% year-over-year increase. And the success of Tesla has made Tesla the world's most valuable automaker, and its market cap as of right now is it's close to or north of $1 trillion, which once again shows that it surpasses the legacy of automakers like Toyota, Ford, or even GM combined. And Tesla's impact also extend beyond its factory. As Araf was talking about the gigafactories, like Elon Musk stated that you would need like 100 of these gigafactories around the world to make the world sustainable. And it just goes on to show that these gigafactories are a testament, and Elon Musk is making a statement that the world can indeed survive using renewable energy, and it is also something that is fully sustainable. And on top of that, I would say, just economically speaking, Tesla has created over 100,000 jobs and countless more indirectly through its supply chains and the growth of EV related industries. Even in Vietnam, for example, over 8,000 miles away from the US, we are seeing like growth of electric vehicles in Vietnam, which goes on to show that Musk is the messiah when it comes to EV market. So based on that, I would say Tesla has really transformed the world. So Kabir or Shazib or Arav, do you think will Tesla lead the charge in electric vehicles and renewable energy? And would you say in the long run, do you think Tesla will prevail, or do you think other competitors might come? Because realistically speaking, Tesla currently has a sort of a monopoly over the EV vehicles, particularly in the US. So do you think maybe in the future other companies can take over?
Well, first of all, I think yeah, like you said, I think Tesla, like to answer Araf's question about their role, I think they're adding on to what you said. I think it's not just Tesla isn't just a company that makes things, but rather a company that also inspires a shift in how we think about progress, and how they're showing the world that clean technologies can definitely pave the way for a more sustainable future, both on the earth and perhaps one day with their technology, maybe even beyond it. I think like you asked about how Tesla could perhaps lead the charge in EV and energy, and I think that as of right now, they're 100% positioned to definitely lead the charge in the renewable energy sector, because they have the first mover advantage. From what I have understood from reading about the company, they were the first company to revolutionize the EV industry and set the standard for what an electrical vehicle could be. And as of the statistics, the Tesla Model 3 and Y are both dominating global EV sales, so they already have a pretty strong foothold. And by them using they've released a new battery cell called the 4680 cell, which is a lower cost and a higher energy density, this also shows like how they have a higher technical edge relative to the other companies. I think in addition to this, they definitely have vertical integration with what they're doing. Because what they're doing is they're building their gigafactories for batteries in their vehicles, and by doing so, they're reducing their costs and ensuring their product quality at the same time. Because unlike using trade as their source for materials, they're directly sourcing it from um, their own methods of acquiring it. So what they've done effectively is created like a buffer against the supply chain. So they're already producing and creating faster than their competitors because they've already bought over all the sourcing and or whatever they could to have a quicker access to the materials. And I think also just but they're also definitely facing a lot of competition, because um, from what I've seen, they've been having a lot of rivals like BYD, Volkswagen, and Rivian, as well as stuff like Ford and GM. They're already closing the gap for sure. Like BYD has recently, I think as of last year, surpassed Tesla in global EV sales when including their plug-in hybrids. Which, I mean, to an extent, they're not fully electric as their hybrid vehicles, but still, they're more or less there because of the whole thing with plugging in to charge the engine, like the battery and such. So I think it's definitely hard to say if they'll prevail or not. I think they 100% have all the ingredients to lead the EV and energy industries for the future because they already have like super strong brand recognition. They have the backing of Musk, one of the richest on the planet, and they have their clear vision for sustainability, and they're already ready to pivot and adapt to any sort of competition. But I do think that right now, because of the price of their vehicles relative to the other ones, they need to improve their affordability and enhance their technology to expand into the new, lesser upper class markets. Because other companies like Volkswagen and Rivian have lower cost electric vehicles that one in the middle or even the lower class would be able to have a desire to buy rather than a Tesla. So if they improve their affordability, they're most definitely likely to remain a dominant player, if not the leader in the industry. I feel.
Yeah, and to add on, Kabir, I said, fully agree with you. And I think to add on what you said, in my opinion, the company has already pioneered significant advancements in battery technology, driving, and solar power. And if Tesla maintains its pace of innovation, it could lead the global transition to like cleaner energy while playing a supporting role in the space economy through its technological synergies with SpaceX. But I read like relating to your question, whether Tesla will prevail long term depends. It depends on a few factors. I think it depends on whether like Tesla thrives. Like we know that Tesla thrives on innovation, and to stay ahead, it must continue to lead in areas like next generation batteries, EV affordability, and autonomous systems. And the ability to adapt to emerging competitors will be key because, like, how you asked, like, if whether like other competitors will they be able to take over Tesla. I think like a lot of it depends on like Tesla being able to keep up, and if they aren't able to keep up with the advancements of today's day and age, then maybe other competitors can swoop in. And it's also about the competition. Like Kabir had mentioned, legacy automator makers like GM, Ford, and Volkswagen are ramping up their EV efforts, while new entrants like Rivian and Lucid Motors they bring fresh competition as well. And Tesla's dominance it may depend on like if others surpass its technological edge or achieve greater scale. And I think it also depends on Tesla's energy products such as Powerwall and Megapack. They could become a dominant force in the renewable energy sector, and this would further diversify the company as well. So, in summary, like I'd say that Tesla might not maintain its position as the sole leader in EVs or renewable energy, but I'd say that its role as an innovator and driver of change is it's unlikely to diminish, and the market will likely fragment with multiple players excelling in different areas. But like Tesla's legacy, however, could be its ability to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy and also inspire innovation in both earthbound and spacebound technologies. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I just like quickly try to find some statistics to back up these points. And I think looking at as of the mid 2024 and late 2023 statistics, BYD is, I think, China is the Chinese automaker, and I think from what I can see is Tesla's biggest competitor in the global EV market, because looking at the stats in 2023 they sold 1.8 million EVs, which is which is far more than Tesla's 1.3 EVs that they sold when including hybrid electric vehicles. I think also more than this, they dominate the Chinese market, which is undoubtedly the largest EV market globally because of their population. And the EVs make up 30% of their where BYD EVs make up 30% of the total car sales in the country alone. And I think because of China's aggressive push for electrification and lower cost manufacturing capabilities, China is heavily subsidizing this company specifically as well, because first of all it's a domestic Chinese company, so then also they can like not hide from but rather evade international competition and influence the Chinese citizens to buy from domestically, which just helps their GDP even more. And also, some of their cars are priced almost 50% cheaper than Tesla's offerings. So I think with this company in mind, and just for how certain companies' governments are pushing for electrification and cheaper cost manufacturing, I think it's definitely hard to say about China, about Tesla and the pricing pressure from China and other Chinese automakers as well. Because say for example, the cheapest model from BYD is $17,000 in China, compared to the cheapest Tesla Model 3 at 35,000. So there's clearly like a big difference.
Thank you everyone for sharing all the invaluable opinions. And in my opinion, the summary of our discussion is that Tesla proved that it could be one of the world's desirable EVs, and it has in some ways proved that its EV could be desirable, high performance vehicles, inspiring traditional automakers to transition to electric vehicles, as Kabir Dhawan has mentioned with the example of Volkswagen and Audi. And Tesla also has become a symbol of innovation and sustainability, aligning with global efforts to combat climate change. And Musk also has transformed Tesla from a niche startup into a global leader, which with his vision for sustainable energy driving the company's strategy. And also, one of the things that I believe that came up from a discussion is that Tesla is also facing several competitions from other competitors such as BYD and BYD, I believe, is Tesla's biggest competitor now, because BYD has access to the world's largest growing middle class economy, which is China, which again highlights that Tesla has some steep competitions ahead. But I believe that Tesla is very different from other car manufacturers in a way that it's very similar to how Apple sells its products. You'd see that Tesla always has its car, like the car shops or the car showrooms, some people may call it, inside shopping malls, just like a Apple store or like a technological store would have their outlet inside a shopping mall. Tesla has their outlet inside shopping malls, which again highlights that Tesla tries to be a very consumer friendly company. It tries to be a very technological company. It doesn't try to be a car company. It tries to be a very technological, futuristic company. And even in our trip, we recently went to Manila for ISS MUN, and when we went to a mall, I think it was called Uptown, we saw that Tesla was offering its cars, 3 of its cars, inside the mall for people in Philippines to try out, which again highlights how Tesla is trying to capture market share by offering incentives to consumers, by showing to consumers that it's a very futuristic company. It's not just a car company, but it's a company with a vision, with a future, and with a goal to change the world and make it more sustainable when it comes to EVs. Now, moving on to our second topic of discussion, which is SpaceX. And Tesla is a company that individuals have engagement with, in a sense that people can go to a Tesla outlet and see their cars. But SpaceX is a company that has very limited public engagement, because obviously it's a space company, it's a rocket company. Not many people engage with rockets every day. But SpaceX, I believe, it's more. SpaceX gives Elon Musk more power than Tesla does, because SpaceX is a rocket company, and I think very few people in the world have private rocket companies like Elon Musk does. So, which again highlights that SpaceX is very important to Elon Musk's image, is very important to Elon Musk's career. And to provide a brief introduction for SpaceX, SpaceX was inspired by a desire to reignite public interest in space exploration, innovation, reducing the cost of space travel, and enabling the colonization of Mars. And after selling PayPal to eBay in 2002, Musk committed $100 million of his private fortune to fund a private aerospace company. And SpaceX was founded in March 2002 in El Segundo in California. And Musk aimed to create reusable rockets to drastically reduce launch costs and make space travel more sustainable. And to provide a very brief history of SpaceX's development, the first rocket was called Falcon 1, which was developed between 2003 and 2009. And SpaceX's first rocket, the Falcon, was designed as a small, partially reusable launch vehicle to carry satellites into orbit. And the rocket was named after Millennium Falcon from Star Wars, showcasing Musk's inspiration from science travel. And in 2006, the Falcon 1's maiden flight failed due to a fuel leak and fire. And in 2007, a second launch failed due to engine failure shortly after liftoff. And in 2008, the third attempt also failed due to a stage separation issue, bringing SpaceX to the brink of bankruptcy. And it was September 2008, the fourth Falcon 1 flight successfully reached orbit, making SpaceX the first private company in the entire world to launch a liquid-fuel rocket into orbit. And SpaceX also secured a $1.6 billion commercial resupply services CRS contract with NASA in 2008, marking the start of a long-term partnership. And between 2010 and 2012, SpaceX developed the Falcon 9, a large two-stage rocket capable of delivering heavier payloads and enabling human spaceflight. And the Falcon 9 featured 9 Merlin engines for increased reliability, allowing engine-out capability during flight. And SpaceX also redesigned the Dragon spacecraft to transport cargo and eventually astronauts to the International Space Station (ISS). And SpaceX also developed the Dragon, which became the first commercially available spacecraft to successfully dock with the ISS in 2012. And the first Operation Falcon 9 mission also occurred in 2010, delivering a Dragon capsule into orbit. And between 2013 and 2016, Elon Musk primarily focused to develop reusable rockets to lower launch costs dramatically. And SpaceX conducted numerous experiments with controlled landings of Falcon 9's first stage. And in 2015, SpaceX achieved its first successful vertical landing of a Falcon 9 booster, paving the way for routine rocket reuse. And this milestone was followed by the first drone ship landing in 2016, showcasing flexibility in recovery operations. And SpaceX cost-efficient launches undercut traditional aerospace companies like Boeing and Lockheed Martin, focusing industry-wide innovation. And Musk also developed plans for an interplanetary transport system (ITS) in 2016, later renamed Starship, designed to carry humans to Mars and beyond. And SpaceX also developed prototypes of Starships and its super heavy booster, aiming for full reliability and a 100-ton payload capacity. And test flights of Starship prototypes began in 2019, with the first high-altitude test achieving partial success in 2021. And Starship also is indebted for a variety of missions, including lunar landings, satellite launches, and eventual Mars colonization. And NASA selected Starship for its Artemis program to return astronauts to the moon by 2025. And there also have been major milestones in human spaceflight by SpaceX. SpaceX developed the Crew Dragon spacecraft to transport aircraft as part of NASA's Commercial Crew program. And the spacecraft also features advanced safety systems, touchscreen controls, and autonomous docking capabilities. And it was in May 2020, SpaceX launched Demo 2, its first crewed mission carrying astronauts to the ISS. It marked the first time a private company launched humans into orbit. And this success of Crew Dragon missions restored US human spaceflight capabilities after the Space Shuttle program ended in 2021. And Elon Musk also introduced the Starlink, which and SpaceX began employing its Starlink constellation in 2018, aiming to provide global high-speed internet using thousands of low-orbit LOE satellites. And by 2024, SpaceX had launched over 5,000 Starlink satellites, with plans to expand further. And SpaceX also provides a significant revenue stream. Starlink also provides a significant revenue stream to fund SpaceX's interplanetary ambitions. And this system has been used in remote areas and during crises, such as providing internet in war-torn Ukraine. And there's also a lot of global expansion occurring in SpaceX as of right now. SpaceX achieved a record number of launches in recent years with over 60 missions in 2022 alone, thanks to its reusable Falcon 9 rockets. And the Starship system is central to Musk's vision of a self-sustaining Martian colony with plans for uncrewed Mars missions by the late 2020s. And SpaceX is also developing Starship for lunar and deep space exploration. And SpaceX also has been the leading provider of commercial satellite launches, holding contracts with NASA, private companies, and international governments. And when it comes to Musk's role in SpaceX, it's very visionary, and in a way, it has led SpaceX since its founding. Musk served as CEO and chief engineer, directly overseeing SpaceX's technical and strategic decisions, and his ability to combine long-term goals, Mars colonization, with short-term revenue streams. Starlink as through satellite launches has been critical to SpaceX's success, and Musk also has been willing to take risks such as betting on reusable rockets, which has revolutionized the space industry. He's also known for settling ambitious timelines, often pushing the boundaries of what traditional aerospace companies consider possible. And Musk's charisma and bold ambitions have made SpaceX a symbol of innovation, inspiring a new generation of engineers and entrepreneurs. So, what's your opinion on SpaceX, and how can it shape the global economy, and how can it shape the relationship that people have with the outer space? Because SpaceX is, I believe, in my opinion, that the only private company in the world independent of any government involvement. Yes, there's involvement of several governments when it comes to space's operation, but unlike NASA, which is directly funded by the U.S. government, SpaceX is the largest private space exploration company. So, what's your opinion on SpaceX involvement in the global economy, and how SpaceX can shape the future when it comes to space exploration? Mr. Kabir, Dhawan, Shazib Karim, or Art Malik?
Well, I think they've definitely been they've definitely 100% established themselves as not just like a technological giant, but also a big player in the global economy, as you said, because they're shaping the future of space commerce and like the broader aerospace sector for sure. So I think one of the things that you, which I don't think you mentioned, was how they had their a couple weeks ago they completed the world's first I think in October, yeah, in October they did the world's first landing after the rocket booster was caught by mechanical arms of the ship itself, and I think of the booster, sorry, and the ship. So I think that's like a really like it's like really a testament of like the time to be alive in that we're like right now. It's crazy to see how because of this they've definitely also contributed to the global economy too, because they have a role of the growing commercial space sector. Like as you said, the company has contracts with NASA, and they're launching satellites and resupplying the ISS and transporting astronauts to space, as you said, and how it's like really solidifying themselves as one of the biggest partners into international space exploration. I think another thing is their efforts in satellite deployment, especially with Starlink, also, which is just like as a broad overview, is like a net of satellites that aims to provide global broadband internet coverage, especially in like remote and undeserved regions. And I think as of 2024, they've deployed like I think 4,000 more or less satellites, and it's already providing internet service to millions of people worldwide. And that I think is the biggest impact that they've had, which is not expanded like in the global economy, but rather expanded the global digital economy, allowing individuals access to the internet to those who don't have it because of their program. But I think as much as they have contributed to the global economy, I think environmental concerns have definitely been raised regarding the impact of rocket launches, because they've been consistently launching rockets the past year, and a lot of critics, especially on the news, like Sky News especially, has pointed out how the emissions associated with the production and launch of rockets completely goes against Musk's like his vision of sustainability. And although they're working on rockets that are sustainable, I think the environmental footprint of repeated launches, especially as Starship and Starlink grow, could be like a really bad thing. And I think also the monopolistic concerns are definitely there regarding SpaceX, because they've already captured a significant portion of the global space market because they're a private company. And I think they've definitely launched a debate about monopoly, because I think in 2023, there were I think Musk was interviewed about. There was a conference about people about where Musk was talking, and people were concerned about how SpaceX could become a launch monopoly as like because of the only Western commercial launch provider today with the capacity to transport large payloads to space into the ISS. I'm the only private one, so I think there are definitely monopolistic concerns. And I think while okay, like because there are private and government contracts, it's like beneficial for innovation and reducing costs. I think there's questions about competition because they're so dominant in both satellite and internet launch services. I feel like having a company, especially controlled by someone as as like not concerning, but as like with such a large impact with small decisions as Elon Musk, I think they have such a like they could stifle competition or even misuse of the data and technology that Musk has been collecting through his company. So I think there's definitely some concern about that.
Yeah, Kabir, thanks for your insightful information. And yeah, and I'd also agree with you. I would agree with your opinions, and I think to add my own opinion on to what you said, Kabir, and on to what Araf said. I'd say that about SpaceX, there's so much to cover because there's the Falcon 9 rocket that Araf had mentioned, and like SpaceX has revolutionized the industry with reusable rockets, cutting launch costs dramatically. And instead of losing a rocket after one use, they've made it kind of routine to land and reuse them. And it's like recycling on an interstellar scale. And we also can't forget about the Dragon spacecraft, as it was the first private spacecraft to dock with the International Space Station. And this made like a huge step for a commercial spaceflight. And we also can't overlook Starlink, which is a satellite international constellation that aims to provide global internet coverage. And actually it's a game changer for remote and underserved areas. And although it's not without controversy, it does have controversy among astronomers, but it's still a very interesting topic, I'd say. And over 7,000 satellites in orbit do raise concerns about space debris and light pollution. But there's also no denying the transformative potential of global connectivity. And now we can also talk about Starship. As Starship, it's the centerpiece of SpaceX's vision for the future. And if you can ask why this system is so special, and I'd say it's so special because Starship is designed to be fully reusable and capable of carrying massive payloads, or even human crews, to the moon, Mars, and beyond. And its goal isn't just exploration, it's colonization. Musk envisions a future where humanity has self-sustaining colonies on Mars to ensure our species' survival. And, that's a very bold vision. And SpaceX is making progress. Like, just last week, they conducted a test flight where the Starship's Raptor engine successfully reignited in space. And I think that just speaks volumes, And these incremental steps brings us closer to the reality of interplanetary travel. And also with NASA's Artemis program, SpaceX is playing a key role in returning humans to the moon, and with the ultimate goal of establishing a long-term presence there. And I'd say that I'm talking about all the goals and visions, but no great venture comes without challenges. I'd say, and SpaceX faces plenty of hurdles, from technical setbacks to regulatory roadblocks. And I'd say the one major issue is regulation. Like, space is becoming more crowded, and governments are still figuring out how to manage this new frontier. And then there's the cost, even with reusable rockets. Space exploration is incredibly expensive, and we cannot ignore ethical concerns either. Like, who gets to own and exploit space resources, And let's not also forget the environmental concerns. And while SpaceX is a pioneer in many ways, the sheer number of satellite launches has sparked debates about their impact on the Earth's orbital environment. And I'd say that these are big questions that need global collaboration and innovative solutions. But if there's one thing that SpaceX has shown us, it's that big dreams often overcome big obstacles.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely agree. But I think there are, so me personally, and from my opinion, I think I have five like main concerns and problems about like with SpaceX. Like, okay, despite their, as everybody has said, their extraordinary success in space exploration, which it's crazy, it's insane. I think there are so many challenges and concerns with it. Like, for example, I think the biggest concern from my notes that I have with Starlink is that the increase of space debris. So SpaceX in 2024 so far has launched 4,000 satellites into low Earth orbit, and they plan to deploy 42,000 as a part of the network for Starlink. And with so many objects in orbit, the risk of collisions is so high already. And in 2023, when there were less than like 1,000 satellites in low Earth orbit, there were 27 documented close encounters between Starlink satellites and other space objects from SpaceX's other launches, and this is according to the U.S. Space Surveillance Network. So I think while SpaceX has taken measures to mitigate the risk of collisions by designing the satellites to deorbit themselves at the end of their operational lives, I think because when it's over, when all the satellites are launched, the sheer volume of satellites in orbit will require continuous tracking systems to ensure that there is no space debris created. And also, there was the Space Debris Act in 2020 mandated operators like SpaceX to track objects with an accuracy of 10 meters. And because of that, there's like another layer of costs associated with debris management, because the estimated cost of cleaning up space debris could range from $100 million to $1 billion a year, which could affect SpaceX profitability and growth. And at that point, and this also $100 million to $1 billion a year is only of their 4,000 satellites. Imagine that at a scale of 42,000 satellites. That would be over $10 billion a year, which is directly going away from SpaceX's research into sustainable rocket ship and propulsors. So I think that's like a big problem. And also, like my second gripe with it is data privacy and security. So with the Starlink satellite network, they're like, me personally, I have questions about data privacy and security, because already it covers over 50 countries. There are millions of users in rural and remote areas, and the company is planning on expanding. Now, a single breach of data would compromise the privacy and security of millions. And I think the potential of cyber attacks, especially in this growing day and age of technology, artificial intelligence, and so on, I think the potential for cyber attacks on the data streams passing through the satellites is increasing so much. Because SpaceX, with their encryption systems and their secure transmissions channels, have millions of data packets per second going across global communications networks. And there was a research paper I read from the cybersecurity ventures that estimated that cybercrime will cost the global economy $10.5 trillion annually by 2025, which is why the company itself needs to invest directly in cybersecurity and safeguarding to protect user data and infrastructure, which is something, according to the annual reports, that they haven't done yet. And because of that, and if the costs in the global economy happen because of data breaches, all of the investment that SpaceX, Tesla, all of the profits that would be going into, once again, the investment in sustainable technology will go straight into the costs that the global economy would incur, which is just another problem with data privacy and security. That my third gripe with it is the regulatory challenges. So the company has gotten licenses from the FCC this and last year and other agencies for the satellite launches and broadband services. This has happened. But then the regulatory environment for security networks, for internet networks, and for broadband as well, varies. So the European Union Satellite Surveillance Tracking Program, the SST program, is focused on managing and identifying space debris, which is a problem for SpaceX because they deploy thousands of satellites. And the European Commission, because of this, has raised concerns about satellite collisions and the environmental footprint of the growing number of spacecrafts in orbit. Because of this, the United Nations and governments of member nations in the UN can fully deny the Starlink's satellites to be a part of the program, which just like makes the whole reason for this like useless. Like, what if the United Nations, which encompasses so many nations, like, and certain nations in it, deny the Starlink to be implemented in their countries? Then what's the point of it in the first place? I think in addition to debris management, there are environmental concerns about rocket emissions and noise pollution. Because the UN, I'm forgetting the full form, but the office of the OOSA, the Outer Space Affairs one, reported that space debris from rocket launches alone accounts for 20% of the total debris in the low Earth orbit. So then, how will United nations, the governments alone, regulate this if it's so spread out and only under one company? So there's again the monopolistic concerns that I mentioned. And I think lastly, there's the idea of just maintaining public trust, because as SpaceX is, we have established that they're leading the charge in commercializing space. But I think maintaining public trust and transparency is super important. Public concern over the privatization of space and the potential of monopolization of satellite communications is like increasing. And a research survey done by Pew Research found that 64% of Americans, this is last year I believe, they found that 64% of Americans are concerned about the potential for private companies to dominate space exploration and control access of space-based technologies. So there's already so much public scrutiny behind it. So I feel like while SpaceX, as we've mentioned, they've changed the landscape of space exploration and commercial space operations, I feel like the problems that they're facing of data management, privacy, security, and regulation, like managing the risks of space debris and safeguarding user data, they have, and the lack of investment into these, I think they need to address it before they can balance their ambitious growth plans with effective data management. Because with this in mind, and only with this in mind, they will have long-term success and actually have a role in shaping the future of space exploration. Otherwise, to me it seems as though there's absolutely no point.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Kabir. I think you make very astute points over there. And also, I would like to briefly mention about the potential contention pertaining the space colonization. So, SpaceX ambitious plans for colonizing Mars, I believe, represents a transformative step for humanity, both economically but also, in my opinion, philosophically. And I believe by developing the Starship, the most powerful rocket ever built, which is capable of carrying over 100 tons of cargo per flight, Elon Musk envisions establishing a self-sustaining colony on Mars with a population of 1 million by 2050. And I would say the cost of such an endeavor, estimated to exceed $100 billion. It's not just about the economic potential, it's about reshaping humanity's existential trajectory. And Musk himself has stated that colonizing Mars is crucial to ensuring the survival of humanity as a multi-planetary species, echoing the sentiments of thinkers like Carl Sagan, who believe that all civilizations become either spacefaring or extinct. And in addition to that, I believe that space colonization could catalyze entire new industries, from asteroid mining, estimated to be $1 trillion market, to the creation of interplanetary supply chains. And philosophers like Immanuel Kant might argue that exploring space fulfills humanity's innate cosmopolitan duty to transcend boundaries and to seek progress beyond Earth. At the same time, others like Martin Heidegger may caution against viewing space merely as a resource, urging humanity to consider the ethical implications of imposing the Earth-bound values on extraterrestrial environments. So SpaceX's plans not only challenge the limits of technology, but also force us to consider our place in the universe, as Musk's vision aligns with Aristotle's belief that man is by nature a being that desires to understand. So, based on that, do you guys think that? How do you see SpaceX's Mars colonization plans reshaping humanity's future? Do you think, are we headed in a positive, or would you say in a negative direction?
I think colonization of space is an interesting thing to talk about because I think when establishing human presence on Mars, I think there are benefits like expanding human civilization beyond Earth. Like that in itself ensures the survival of the human species if and only if the world ends in air quotes, because like we don't know that's gonna happen for sure. But I do think that there are environmental concerns and like sustainability concerns of Mars colonization, because while humanity has, proven to have the capability to send ships to Mars, Mars has like, according to the data that I'm looking at right now, how humanity will address the inhospitable conditions of Mars is like concerning, because already Mars has a thin atmosphere that's composed of mainly carbon dioxide, and the surface temperatures of the planet can drop to over minus 125 degrees Celsius or 100 negative 195 degrees Fahrenheit. And like I don't know, but I feel like a Dyson air heater will not suffice in this situation, because there's very little, and also we have satellite images of the planet. There is very little natural protection from radiation because of the absence of the magnetic field on the planet itself. So I think creating like we've watched the movie The Martian. What we need to do is create sustainable habitats and establish self-sustaining colonies that can generate food, energy, and water that doesn't solely depend on the Earth. And this is what they call a closed loop life support system. And according to the annual research reports of NASA and SpaceX, this is still in the early stage of development. So there's already a lack of this. Because there's already a lack of this technology on Earth, it's tough to say how long it will take to do it because of the lack of public information, and also if it will be even successful without primary trials and tests. I think also there's definitely the potential for conflict in space. I think as space is becoming more accessible and valuable, I think there's definitely going to be, as you mentioned, the conflict of asteroid mining, because the moon, Mars, and asteroids contain stuff like rare minerals and metals, which can be super important for advancing Earth's technology and industries, and can even have some undiscovered materials that could hugely advance technology on the planet. However, because of this, there could be the issues of space militarization and monopoly. Like with space militarization, I am positive some companies and countries may seek to militarize space to secure the resources to protect their interests, leading to, like, it sounds very fictional, but leading to potential space conflicts. I think as the global space race is intensifying with governments and now private companies like SpaceX, there are definitely like legal, ethical, and political ramifications of space militarization. And I think, like, most definitely there will be a competition for resources that is going to occur. And also, one thing that's occurred to me is the idea of equity in human rights. So I think because of the vast economic landscape of the Earth, I think considering who will have access to space and space colonization is really important, because of the increasing costs that we've discussed of traveling to space and space colonization. The fact of the matter is, only wealthy individuals and corporations will be able to control resources or even have access to travel to space in the first place. And because of this, there's definitely going to be like space elitism, where only small privileged groups of billionaires and trillionaires would actually be able to afford the cost of living to travel to or work on Mars. And because of that, who's to say that these individuals can pool all their money instead of investing in sustainability on planet Earth, just pool all their money into research and development for technology to just live on Mars themselves and say, okay, forget Earth. How about we just go here instead, leaving the rest of humanity. And matter of fact, majority of it, like maybe even the top 1% of Earth's population wouldn't afford to go. Maybe it's only the top 0.1%. And they would just leave the rest of the 99.9% sitting on Earth to rot. Because how will the government and countries and nations ensure that the rights of those who, like, ensure that technology and sustainability is still occurring on those who are left behind on Earth? So I think, as you said, like, while the idea of colonizing planets, particularly Mars, because it's the only one that we've actually been to, is definitely a crazy frontier for human exploration, there's the ethical challenge and the environmental sustainability challenge as well. So I think because of this, as Elon Musk himself said, the future of humanity is not going to be on Earth for the long term. It's going to be in space. But getting there and ensuring humanity can thrive is like, there are too many challenges that we have yet to fully understand about it. So I think I have a lot of concerns regarding that.
Thank you everyone for sharing the invaluable insights into the discussion. Now moving on to our final piece of discussion, and this is not about SpaceX, this is not about Tesla, but this is about the man himself, Elon Musk. And Elon Musk's leadership of Tesla and SpaceX has been instrumental in their growth and innovation. However, his public statements, particularly those perceived as homophobic and anti-LGBTQ+, have had several repercussions on his companies such as Tesla. At Dollar Dialogue, we respect all opinions and we respect members of the LGBT community. However, for completely understanding about SpaceX and Elon Musk, we have to talk a little bit about Elon Musk's perceived homophobic comments in order to understand the implication of such comments on the sales of Tesla and SpaceX. To begin, Elon Musk, again, I want to repeat that we support the LGBT community, and all the comments that I'm going to read out from Elon Musk are the opinions of Elon Musk himself and not of Dollar Dialogue. Dollar Dialogue supports the LGBT community and has contributed to their causes. So to begin, in December 2020, Musk tweeted a meme mocking the use of gender pronouns, stating, "I absolutely, quote unquote," this is what Musk exactly wrote in his tweet, "I absolutely support trans, but all these pronouns are an aesthetic nightmare." This is what Elon Musk said. He also said a lot of other things when it comes to the LGBT community. For example, in July 2020, Musk tweeted, quote unquote, "Pronouns suck," which was widely interpreted as dismissive of the use of preferred gender pronouns. And this remark drew criticism from LGBTQ plus advocacy groups and individuals, including his then partner Grims, who responded, and this is what she said: "I love you, but please turn off your phone or give me a call. I cannot support hate. Please stop this." And in also December 2020, he tweeted, and this is what he exactly said: "I absolutely support trans, but all these pronouns are an aesthetic nightmare." This is the tweet that I read previously. This tweet was also very controversial, which highlighted his stance on transgender issues. And also in later years, in December 2022, Musk posted, this is what he exactly tweeted, quote unquote, "My pronouns are prosecute / Fauci." And this tweet was also criticized for mocking the use of gender pronouns and Dr. Anthony Fauci. And this led to discussion about his alignment with far-right ideologies. In addition to that, he has also commented in many of his podcast recording that he doesn't, quote unquote, like the woke virus. And so again, this highlights that he's very aligned to the to the right when it comes to his ideological positions on these matters. And again, at Dollar Dialogue, we support the LGBTQ community, and we absolutely love their causes and have been advocate for their causes. But talking about its implications on Tesla, surveys indicate that Musk's controversial statements have negatively affected Tesla's brand perception, particularly among liberal and progressive consumers who are more supportive of LGBTQ plus rights. And in Australia, Tesla sales dropped by 12.9% in a year, when the overall EV market grew approximately by 15%, suggesting that Musk's public image may be deteriorating potential buyers. And in California, Tesla's vehicle registration in the state fell by 24% in the second quarter of 2024, marking the third consecutive quarterly decline. Analysts also attribute to this downturn particularly to Musk's polarizing public persona, which may alienate consumers in progressive markets. And while Tesla's market share has declined, competitors have experienced growth, indicating that consumers may be shifting to alternate EV brands less associated with controversial leadership. And Elon Musk's leadership has been pivotal in advancing Tesla and SpaceX. However, his public statements, particularly those perceived as anti-LGBTQ plus, have had tangible effects on Tesla's public brand perception and sales, especially in markets with strong support for LGBTQ plus rights, such as the United States. And these statements have been perceived as dismissive or mocking of transgender identities, leading to backlash from advocacy groups and the public. And additionally, under Musk's leadership, Twitter, now X, has seen policy changes affecting the LGBTQ plus community, such as the removal of protection against misgendering and death naming, which critics argue contribute to a more hostile environment for transgender individuals. But however, this topic is very controversial, and in some cases, in earlier years, Musk has expressed a little bit of support for the LGBTQ plus community, but through his controversial tweets, it has raised questions whether he is whether he dislikes the community or not, or whether he's homophobic or whether he's transphobic. These things are called into questions. So, what's your opinion on this, and how do you think this may affect Tesla and SpaceX? Mr. Kabir, Dhawan, Arif Malik, and Shazib Karim, and I believe that this conversation also is going to bring into some discussions about Musk's involvement with Mr. Donald Trump, who is also seen to be very controversial when it comes to political ideologies regarding personal rights. Mr. Kabir, Dhawan, Arif Malik, or Shazib Karim? Mr. Shazib Karim, I see your hand is raised. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, you brought up a very interesting topic. Of course, we can't talk about all this stuff without talking about the man himself, Elon Musk. And love him or hate him, Musk is one of the most polarizing figures of our time. And like, I've already gave the overview of Elon Musk, so I'd say to talk about Musk himself. In my opinion, Musk is relentless. His leadership style might be unconventional, and some might even say abrasive, but his ability to inspire and motivate is unparalleled. And he sets audacious goals, he's very ambitious, like colonizing Mars or building reusable rockets, and he works tirelessly to achieve them. And he's the kind of leader who doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk. And we also talked about the controversies and stuff. Musk is no stranger to criticism, whether it's about his management style, his frequent Twitter antics or X antics. We know he purchased Twitter and then he renamed it to X and all that, or even his ambitious timelines that often seem overly optimistic. And Musk is truly polarizing, but you could argue that his willingness to take risks and face criticism is what enables him to achieve the impossible. SpaceX has faced countless failures, rocket explosions, delays, regulatory hurdles, but Musk views failure as part of the process. He said before that if things aren't failing, you're not innovating enough. And I'd say that mindset has definitely shaped SpaceX and his other developments. As it's not just a company, it's a reflection of Musk's philosophy. Dream big, take risks, and never settle for less than extraordinary. And let's not forget about his broader influence, like his work at Tesla and the Boeing company and Neuralink, all tied to futuristic vision for humanity. And I'd say, in my opinion, Musk isn't perfect, but his contributions to technology and space exploration are undeniable. And SpaceX is a manifestation of his larger-than-life vision. And while not everyone agrees with his methods, he's undeniably changed the game. And I'd say that Musk shows us that sometimes it takes a little chaos and a lot of courage and a relentless focus on the future to change the world, because he has had a huge impact on today's day and age.
I think it's hard to speak about a topic such as this because, like you said, he's one of the undoubtedly one of the most influential tech figures like in the world. But his personal views and public statements have definitely been ones of controversy, and I think because of this, like Tesla especially has actually faced multiple allegations of labor practice and discrimination lawsuits over the years, some of which have actually been concerns about the treatment of LGBTQ plus employees. I think like in 2017 there was a high profile discrimination lawsuit, a racial one, not an LGBTQ, but still discrimination is discrimination. And there was a lawsuit against Tesla filed by former employees who accused the company of racial discrimination and harassment. And I think, like, while this didn't involve specific LGBTQ plus discrimination, I think it definitely exposed, like, of course it is from 2017, so things may have changed, but still, it exposed, like, the concerns about Tesla's workplace culture. And I think that could also be relevant for LGBTQ employees. Because the lawsuit, if my memory serves me correctly, alleged that black workers were subjected to racial slurs and discrimination. The company failed to take appropriate action, which is, unacceptable. And Tesla settled the lawsuit rather than fighting it, which, like, kind of implies some form of guilt in some shape or the other. And just kind of raised questions about how an inclusive workspace, like, is like how inclusive the workspace actually is. And I think there have definitely been internal complaints from LGBT employees and that have reported facing a hostile work environment. And these claims, these like directly from the company, are about and from like workplace forums and stuff. Are often tied to the lack of policies that explicitly protect sexual orientation and gender identity. And I think while Tesla has diversity initiatives for employment, a lot of the employees claim that that LGBTQ workers weren't supported by leadership, and that instances of discrimination weren't adequately addressed. And I think these complaints have not really always been publicized in the same way as racial discrimination cases, because those ones were fought in an actual court of law. They're part of a larger concern. And of course, there have been allegations of homophobic behavior in Tesla factories, and particularly in the production facilities. I think there was a really long thread on, I want to say Twitter, and it was proven to be true, about how employees have alleged that there was a lack of support from the management when addressing issues and allegations of homophobic behavior to employees. And while there haven't been any high-profile cases of LGBT discrimination, as there have been with racial ones, I think there's definitely a gap in the company's approach to LGBT inclusivity. And I think also there's been a lack of inclusive policies as well, because in 2021, so once again, there hasn't been, as of the information that I have in front of me right now, there hasn't been any complaints or lawsuits filed against the company regarding LGBT discrimination and harassment since this one. But in 2021, the company was sued by a former employee who actually accused Tesla of not adequately addressing LGBT discrimination and harassment. And the employee claimed that they were subjected to inappropriate behavior from coworkers based off of their orientation, and that the management didn't take the matter seriously. And I think this reflects not Musk as a whole, but perhaps the mentality that he's instilling onto the company, because like Tesla as a company is promoting is promoting progressiveness, like environmentally and technologically, but clearly that they're not really promoting it internally, and that the internal company isn't really reflecting the same inclusivity that the outside view is showing. And I think, addressing Musk as himself, obviously we don't know the guy personally, but I think he has made comments that some people will interpret as dismissive towards LGBTQ issues. Like, while he hasn't made explicit homophobic statements as to the information that I have. I think his casual approach to social justice issues has been criticized, and the comments that he's made about gender pronouns and his role in fostering a culture that doesn't prioritize LGBT inclusion, I think they are problematic for advocacy groups because the tech culture at Tesla is associated with his personal beliefs. And as one of the largest companies, his flippant approach to these global issues may influence how employees feel about the company's inclusivity. And I think that's like really important and critical in shaping the reputation of the company, especially how it grows and how the world is requiring a more diverse workforce. So I think that's definitely a problem that's being raised. But I'm me personally, I'm quite unsure, and I would love to hear everybody else's opinions on this one.
Yeah, I think it's a very contentious issue, very, very contentious issue. But I would say Elon Musk's public advocacy for, like, I would say it's a double-edged sword, because Elon Musk, on one hand, he's like, as you have mentioned, he's very dismissive of the LGBTQ concerns, and he's not particularly, based on my research as well, he's not particularly fond of the LGBTQ community as well. Elon Musk himself stated that his son, who converted who converted basically into a transgender. Elon Musk said that he considered his son essentially dead by the woke culture, and this is very, very derogatory statements that Elon Musk made, which goes on to show that externally he's very dismissive of the community, but internally this is reflected in his company as well. While Elon Musk calls for innovation in the fields of space technology or even electronic vehicles, he's not innovating the corporate culture in his company. But on the other hand, Elon Musk's public advocacy for free speech, particularly through his acquisition of X, presents a paradox in the modern age of, I would say, social media, because Musk claims to be a defender of free expression, emphasizing the importance of providing an forum for all viewpoints, including those that might be unpopular or controversial. This stance aligns with the philosophy of John Stuart Mill, who On Liberty in 1859 argued that individuals should have the freedom to express ideas even if they are offensive, as it is through this open exchange that society progresses. Musk has often argued that in a democratic society, the free flow of information is critical, claiming that free speech is the bedrock of functioning democracy. However, Musk's position has raised critical concerns, particularly in regard to how free speech intersects with the issues like LGBTQ rights, especially concerning his controversial stance and his public statements on platforms like Twitter or, as we know, X. And not only that, I would say in Musk's commitment to a free speech at times has also seen as enabling harmful rhetoric and misinformation, especially in regard to marginalized communities. John Rawls, in his theory of justice, contended that a just society must protect its most vulnerable members. Rawls's veil of ignorance would suggest that in any policy decision, society should prioritize protections for minorities. So basically, the sort of not opposite, but utilitarianism, but also considering the minorities. And in this light, Musk's policies, which allow hate speech and extremist voices under the banner of free speech, could be seen as undermining the rights of marginalized groups such as the LGBTQ plus community, who face everyday discrimination and violence. And Immanuel Kant, a philosopher, would also caution against the unrestricted use of free speech that could treat people as mere objects, arguing that we must respect individuals as ends in themselves, treating them with dignity. And I would say this connects to the broader issue of the anti-woke culture that we see today, particularly with the rise of social media and platforms like Rumble, where influencers, where controversial influencers such as Nico or even Andrew Tate, who offer extremely negative and extremely derogatory speeches against women, against LGBTQ plus community, or even the global or climate change. Elon Musk's platform, Twitter, and even other platforms that I've mentioned, like Rumble, offers offers a platform where hate speech under the banner of free speech is essentially going everywhere. So I think this is a very contentious issue, and I would say Elon Musk is definitely. I wouldn't necessarily say that Elon Musk is in the wrong, because I mean he sort of is, because he's not. Because in one hand he claims to be a messiah for free speech, but then again he talks very negatively about the LGBTQ plus community, which has the right to be involved and which has the right to express themselves freely without any without any negative feedback from anyone. And you have to understand, Elon Musk is a very famous person, and whatever he says has a sort of like a ripple effect. So therefore, I think Elon Musk is in the wrong for this. And so what do you guys think? Do you say like Elon Musk's advocacy for free speech, especially through X or Twitter, can balance the need for an open dialogue with the responsibility to protect the rights of marginalized communities such as the LGBTQ plus individuals? Thank you everyone for sharing the invaluable insights into our discussion today. And to conclude, I believe that we can say that Elon Musk's leadership at Tesla and SpaceX has profoundly shaped the electric vehicle and aerospace industries, pushing the boundaries of technology and redefining global innovation. At Tesla, his relentless focus on sustainable energy has driven the development of groundbreaking electric vehicles, renewable energy solutions, and a global infrastructure to support EV adoption. At SpaceX, Musk has spearheaded advancements in reusable rockets, satellite internet via Starlink, and ambitious plans for interplanetary travel, positioning company as a leader in space exploration. Musk's hands-on approach and bold vision have been essential to his achievements, but his leadership style and public persona have also introduced challenges. His high-profile political partnerships and outspoken commentary, while strategic in some contexts, have occasionally polarized public opinion, affecting brand loyalty and perception, especially among key consumer demographics. Nevertheless, his ability to align long-term goals like Mars colonization with short-term profitability, such as satellite launches through Starlink and EV sales, highlights his strategic acumen. At Dollar Dialogue, we again support the LGBT community and have been strong advocate for their causes. Nevertheless, Musk's controversy and moments of criticism has impacted his goals of creating a sustainable world, technological improvements, and space exploration. And his work has not only disrupted traditional industries but also has inspired a global shift towards innovation and progress, solidifying his position as one of the most transformative leaders of our time. So that's a conclusion that I think we all can draw based on a discussion. Is that a conclusion that all of you would agree with, Mr. Kabir, Dhawan, Arif Malik, or Shazib Karim?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree with this. I think, yeah, you really summarized everything that you said really well, and I think, yeah.
Thank you everyone for your agreements, and that brings us to the end of our discussion today, episode 30. Elon Musk's Tesla and the future of the space economy with Mr. Kabir Dhawan. Mr. Kabir Dhawan, thank you very much for joining into this episode. We really enjoyed the discussion we had here with you today, and we really enjoyed your insights on this crucial topics. I hope that you really enjoyed our discussion. And is there any final word that you would like to say before we depart for today?
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, it's been great. It's been great to be on the podcast. I think I really enjoyed having this discussion with you all. I think it's really it's been quite interesting. I think, especially with a topic as controversial as this one, with a person as controversial as this, I think it's really important to consider different sides, different people, and different opinions. Matter of fact, for this sort of discussion, I think it's been great. We've had a really good discussion. I think, yeah, it couldn't have gone better.
Thank you, Mr. Kabir Dhawan, for that very inspiring and very inspiring closing statement. And that brings us to the end of our discussion today, episode 30, Elon Musk's Tesla and the future of space economy with Mr. Kabir Dhawan. Mr. Kabir Dhawan, again, thank you so much for joining into this episode. We really enjoyed the discussion with you, and thank you to the audience for chiming into this episode to discuss. To listen to our discussion about Elon Musk's Tesla and the future of the space economy. Again, that was episode 30, Elon Musk's Tesla and the future of the space economy, Mr. Kabir Dhawan. And we again thank the audience for tuning into this discussion, and we hope to see you next week.